Okay. Good evening, guests. This is Rupa, and I am back with another season. Uh, I'm taking a pause. George, maybe you are logged in two places. Log out from one place because the echo is coming.
I'm logged out, Rupa.
Yes, super. Now it's good. Yes. So good evening, guys. This is Rupa, and I'm back with our another live show. And as you know, every time we try to bring insights or experts who can literally give you lots of motivation, insights on matters which is important for you, for every entrepreneur on a day-to-day basis, and as well as help you grow your business with tried and tested tips and tricks. So today we are covering another topic, which is I think every entrepreneur's favorite, or maybe not so favorite. That's manpower or people. Today we have an amazing dynamic personality, Mr. George, from the company Humlog HR Services. Yes, we will come to that. Why it's Humlog, and today he will give us his uh, opinion or his expertise on how you can build your dream team. As every entrepreneur, we know that nothing can be achieved alone, and definitely to achieve bigger goals we need bigger teams, and the team which can absolutely align with you is your dream team. So, what we are going to do today is let's dive in with all our questions and our confusions with Mr. George, and see how we can use this in our journey of making our own dream team. So, hi, George. How are you doing? Thank you for coming to our show.
Hey, Rupa, thank you for inviting Humlog and me to your show. So, when I usually say Humlog, people assume there are a lot of people who are coming with me to the show, but it's just me representing Humlog. So, thank you for inviting.
Yeah, definitely. I can see people going behind you. So you are keeping the spirit of Humlog on on the show. Superb. So, George, the first question that I want to ask is that because it's a very unique name, huh? Humlog. Why you thought of keeping the name Humlog?
So, unlike popular belief that it is taken from the old TV series, which a lot of baby boomers remember on Doordarshan, it is not from the TV series. I've never seen the TV series. It's only after I named it Humlook that people started telling me. The idea was that HR is all about people. It is about we people. So we want to communicate that we are your people, and that is why I named it Humlo. For the people who don't speak Hindi and Urdu, there is another version of the name, which is Human Capital Logistics. So the hum comes from the human capital, and the log comes from the logistics. So that's what we do. So that's another version of why the name Humlo. But the basic version is we people.
Wow, that's amazing. So, George, how you came in this industry, and what's if you can tell our audience a little bit about your background, and then we can start bombarding you with our questions.
Sure, Rupa. So, been in UAE for the last 18 years, continuously with HR, different facets of HR. So, started with training for banking in ABN AMRO Bank, Royal Bank of Scotland, moved to RAG Bank, headed learning and development there. But the real end-to-end HR started in Coca-Cola, where I was heading HR for UAE, Oman, Bahrain, and Qatar, the four countries. And that was really an amazing experience when I could actually uh, drive the HR practices for four countries. And during that time, what we did proactively is especially during COVID, when we realized we cannot handle so many people, we started outsourcing, we started automating things. And during this journey, I met a lot of SMEs and startups because automation happens through startups, outsourcing happened with SMEs. So as an HR person, my first question to them was, so how does your HR work? Who manages your HR? And unfortunately, the answer that I always got is the owner, poor owner is, or
Of course.
the managing director is managing slash damaging HR themselves. So that is where the idea of starting something like Humlog came. So this concept of Humlog is very unique because monthly accounting services is very common in the UAE market, but monthly
Yes.
HR services as a service on a retainer model is very new, which is what Humlog is trying to promote. And that's how I got into Humlog. I mean, I think everybody wants to be an entrepreneur. A very nice quote I heard is that in every desk there is a budding entrepreneur, in every corporate desk. So everybody wants to be an entrepreneur. I just took the jump and decided to start Humlog, Rupa.
Wonderful, wonderful. So, George, as you know, today we are talking about how to make your dream team. So, I generally believe in always starting from the mistakes. So, I would like to ask that what you feel, one mistake, if you can name one mistake which, as per your experience, startups, SMEs, or the big corporates do in terms of hiring or in terms of building their team, or one reason why they
That's a
fail.
That's a very good question, Rupa. So let's start with startups. So I know a lot of people know the fact that less than 10% of startups end up seeing the first year, the second year. But not many people know that 25% of the reasons why startups fail is people related. That's
Yeah.
because 14% is having the wrong people on board. Around 7% is dissatisfaction within the team, and around 5% is when the team feels burnt out. So it is all related to people and hiring the right people. So I think for startups, one of the first mistakes that startups make is not having a hiring strategy. They come to a stage and they decide, I want this person. And by
Hmm.
then it is too late because getting a person on board in this country itself takes minimum of 60 days. So, not having a proper hiring strategy, like they make their funding strategy that at this stage I want this much funding, Series A funding, or seed funding, Series A funding, you should have a parallel hiring strategy running, which is one thing that I noticed in startups. In SMEs, I believe their lack of bringing in diversity into the organization. So, if you know, most SMEs hiring happens. I mean, I know it is changing, but it is usually, oh, I know this person, so I hire this person. I know this person. And what happens? The organization becomes very homogeneous. It is people from the same place or people I know kind of organization versus diversity. So that is what I see lacking in SMEs, hiring in SMEs. And corporates, trust me, the biggest problem is I will call you back. The long recruitment process. Okay, I
Yeah.
know everybody does this line, I will call you back or we will get back to you, but that process is actually broken in corporates because of all the red tapeism, the number of levels of. I mean, I know there are candidates who go through 5 levels of interviews and then get an answer. We will call you back or we'll get back to you, which is wrong. I think hiring should be fast. If you find the right person, just go ahead with the right person. So that is these are the three problems I see in these three sectors. Nirupa.
So, George, with the answer that you gave, I have two questions. Number one is when you say hiring policy, uh, can you little bit tell more about what is hiring policy, what's its importance, or how it is made? Just a little bit about it.
So it starts with the right manpower planning. I mean, do we have manpower plan for each function, for each department, for each section in the organization? Starts with that. From a manpower planning, you understand where are there gaps in the organization, and from there it goes to the requisition to the new units, to HR. From there, HR has to go and first of all create a query then float the request into the market, get the CVs, do the screening. So it is a long process, but it can be shortened by automation, by ensuring that the process is followed properly. These are usually in corporates that I've seen a hiring. I mean, end-to-end hiring, that is from the requisition for the position to the candidate actually coming on board, taking anywhere between 4 to 6 months, which is wrong. I mean, candidates don't wait. Good candidates don't wait that long. Ideally, the entire hiring process should not be more than 1 month, is what I believe.
So,
So
hiring
that is
process, if yeah.
sorry. That is where the system is broken, Rupa. So continue.
Correct. So on this question, on this statement that hiring should be fast, so what you think is an ideal time? Because as I understand that if you are hiring the best person, you need some time to evaluate, and I'm sure in HR terms you must be having some steps of evaluation. So what you think, like for is the minimum or maximum time to to be taken to evaluate a person using all the tools possible in the HR industry. If I'm trying to find the best talent and recruit the best among the best, what's the maximum time that it should take, even if I am covering all the tools possible, like from psychometric test to this test to, or like, interviews. So what how much time should it take?
So I believe it should not, so junior level, it should not take more than 30 to 45 days. And for a senior hiring, not more than 60 to 90 days. This is my
Okay.
firm. But where the system goes wrong, Rupa, is when you want to hire two candidates and you
Yeah,
interview only four candidates. Obviously, you will not find the right person. So you should
absolutely.
have the right process right from the beginning. You should assume that there will be fallouts. You should assume that candidates will ghost you. You should assume that even after the offer is made, people might go back. So you should assume all this and have enough backups in place if you want to follow this timeline. But I believe 30 to 45 days is the maximum for a junior level hiring.
Okay, that's amazing. So, George, you have been working with so many companies, so many brands, and different kinds of organizations. So, do you think that making a dream team is somehow connected to the dream, or to the vision, or to the plan, or the goal of the company? Do you think that the uh, what kind of team that we are hiring or we are planning to recruit is, how does the dream affect that? For example, if there is a corporate or an entrepreneur who doesn't have a dream but still wants to recruit the dream team, or has not planned its vision, or the vision is not clear, so do you think the clarity of the dream or the goal somehow affects the way you recruit your team?
It absolutely does. So let's understand first of all what is the definition of a dream team. So a dream team is a team of diverse set of individuals with diverse capabilities, diverse backgrounds, coming together and working towards the common goal. I mean that one goal that all the entire group wants to achieve. So first, and each person in the group knows their role and how that role impacts the drive towards the vision. So if there is no vision, you will just have people running helter skelter. I mean, it will be like headless chickens running all around. If there is no vision, people will come, people will do their job, people will go back home, but they don't know how their job is impacting the organization. So I think it is very imperative that as founders, as startup owners, uh, as SME owners, the vision should be very clear and the vision should be communicated transparently to the organization. Only then, so if I mean a cricket team, for example, if they don't have a vision of winning that World Cup, what are they playing towards? I mean, they are playing towards something. If there is a so that's why we have matches which is called dead rubber, where nobody puts any interest into the match. Because even spectators don't watch the match because it is not achieving anything. So that is why I think having a vision, having a clear goal is very important, even before starting off on the entrepreneurial journey, even before starting off hiring your team, because that is what will drive the dream of the team, and that is what creates a dream team.
Okay, wow, that's very well said. So George, do you think that, for example, what is the difference between an entrepreneur? Like, everybody is expert in their field, most of the entrepreneurs, but when they are planning to recruit their team, what is the difference between the entrepreneur taking the charge of interviewing the candidates, or outsourcing it to an expert HR? So, what's the difference between both of them? Do you think that the entrepreneurs understand their team better because they can feel the vibe and all that, or do you think an HR who is expert in evaluating candidates, knows the psychology, or knows how to evaluate, will do a better job? Who you think will do a better job in recruiting people?
So, to answer this question, I want to go one step back and talk about organizational culture. Okay,
Yeah.
so most organizations don't explicitly write down their culture or understand their culture, but knowing the culture of the organization is very important. And when you are hiring, you should actually hire for the culture of the organization rather than just for skills and qualifications. because you might have the most qualified, most skilled employee coming on board, but cannot adjust to the culture of the organization. It's like getting a fish to fly. Okay, if you get somebody who's been in the corporate world for 20 years and put that person into a startup, that person might fail because they have never worked in a fast paced, ambiguous environment. uh, from where they come from processes, they come from clear cut guidelines, and from there to an ambiguous environment, you will get the best person but still fail. Whereas if you get a
Absolutely.
fresher right out of college and put that person into an ambiguous environment, that person does amazingly well. So it is very important to understand the culture of the organization, whether it's the HR taking the interview or the entrepreneur taking the interview. Now, to answer your question, I'm sure you've noticed when we put LinkedIn ads nowadays, even if you put the ad for a CEO, a butler will apply, a driver will apply, anybody. I mean, there are ads that I've put female, Arabic speaking female required for this role. And when I open the CV, it's one man with a big mustache sitting there.
Very
So,
true.
I mean, so that is where an HR comes into the picture to ensure that the entrepreneur, the founder, the owner is not wasting their time meeting each and every one who has put their interest across. The HR can filter, the HR can understand whether this person matches the role, matches the requirement, matches the culture, more importantly. And only those people who match are put in front of the entrepreneur, because I understand every entrepreneur's time is precious. So why waste time on doing unnecessary interviews when you can actually do the best interviews and select the right person? Entrepreneur, founder, owner should be the final interviewer and never the first interviewer. That's my belief.
Okay, that's very good to know. So you yourself are a HR. So for your company, when you recruit, do you find it easy, or sometimes you even find feel like outsourcing it to somebody?
So honestly, I wish I could outsource it to someone, but I'm creating my own dream team, and it's just over 1 year and 2 months since we started, and I'm lucky to have moved from a solopreneur, me myself running all around, to having a team of 10 people right now. And I believe I've got the dream team created right now within the organization. But that requires meticulous looking around. So I understand the culture of my organization. I understand the kind of people that I want to get in. So I mean, if I can actually transmit this to someone, I would love to outsource it to someone, because it is a painstaking job to actually uh, interview. I mean, first of all, filter, then do the due diligence, then interview. So it is a painstaking job. I wish I could outsource it to someone, but it'll look funny if I outsource my own recruitment to someone. People won't trust me with their recruitment, right?
Very true. So, what is your personal favorite? Do you like recruiting people by filtering CVs, calling interviews, lines of interviews, or do you like going and meeting somebody in the coffee shop and then dropping your car? Would you like to work for me, the James Bond style? So, what do you, what is your personal favorite, and which method works for you?
So, I mean, this is not me. Anybody I've interviewed, after the interview, say, I never felt like I was being interviewed. And that is my style. I believe in having a conversation. And I mean, one mistake that most interviewers do is start shooting questions right as soon as the candidate comes in. You have to understand the candidate's psyche. They are tense. They're wondering if they'll get this job. You don't know the background they come from. Maybe they've taken a two buses to reach where you come. So first put the candidate at ease, relax them, offer coffee, offer something. Then ask them, I hope it was not tough to find this place and things like that. Start a little chit chat, ask them about their family, ask them about their background, and then slowly ease into the questions that you want to ask. And
Yeah,
that also try to make as conversational as possible. Now, it is important to take notes, it is important to keep the guidelines in place, but try to have a conversation within that guidelines is what I try to do, and that always works for me.
got it. Got it. So, George, what are the, as per your findings, especially in the Gulf or in Dubai, what are the five things or three things that you would like to suggest to startups and SMEs, or any company? Uh, some practices that they should must follow while they are recruiting their dream team or while they're in the process of building their dream team?
So I'll actually do a brand plugin here. So easy to remember, 6 points that everybody who is trying to build a dream team should remember. And you can easily remember it with the Humlog acronym. So it starts with H, which is having a hiring strategy. Edge for hiring strategy. Because as I said, in the case of startups, even corporates, even SMEs should have a hiring strategy that once I grow to this stage, I will need this person in the organization. Once I go to this stage, I will need this person. Hiring strategy also means having a succession plan, which means in case I have a senior manager who, if that person leaves, I mean, in HR language, we call it a competitive advantage role or a car. Okay, so if that person leaves, the organization is impacted heavily. So why not have a succession plan? So all that comes under the hiring strategy. So H for hiring strategy, U for understanding your culture. So if you don't understand your culture, you cannot. So I believe that sales, hiring, it's all about transferring my passion. When you're selling, you're not actually selling a product. You're transferring your passion for that product to the customer. Same way when
Very
you're
true.
hiring, you're not actually getting somebody on board, you're transferring your passion for your organization to that candidate. So
Very
unless you understand your culture, how can you actually transmit that to somebody you're trying to hire? So H, hiring strategy, you understanding your culture. M is managing expectations. I think it is important right from the beginning that both parties understand what is expected from each other. So the candidate can also say, this is my expectation from the organization. And I, as an interviewer or a hiring manager, can say, this is my expectation from you. And so it is smooth. The onboarding is smooth. Everything is smooth if expectations are managed right at the interviewing stage. So M for managing expectations. L for leveraging new work models. Who said everybody has to be in office? Who, I think you also leverage this. You have
Mhm.
remote workers, you have freelance workers. So there are different work models right now. You can take people only for projects, which is freelance. You can take people remotely based on where they are available. So there are different work models. Why are we still following the traditional come to office 9 to 5 work model? So leverage new work models. That is L of Humlog. O is outsource non-core. Now, if you're an IT company, you cannot outsource your IT. That is very clear. You ask me as an HR, can I outsource my recruitment? As an HR, I cannot outsource my recruitment. But as an HR company, I don't need to have a finance team on board. I can always outsource my accounting. I can always outsource my IT. So outsource whatever is non-core to your business, because when you're starting off, it is important that you have only the core team around that reduces cost, that improves efficiency, and you can hold somebody responsible. So if, for example, you hire that one person for HR, I mean, there's a joke that I have where I walk in long back to client's office, I explain my service in this business. Sorry, we already have an HR. So I said, so can I meet your HR? Maybe I can talk about policy automation. Sorry, the HR is on. Is that what you're telling your employees as well? That HR is on leave, so HR is on a standstill. So that is where outsourcing also helps for smaller organizations. You're not dependent on one person for the perpetuality of your business or that function. So O for outsource non-core. And G, this is something very close to me, which is generational integration, which means we
Right.
talk about diversity when it comes to nationality, when it comes to culture, when it comes to gender, but what about generational diversity? So if it is a startup that is built by Gen Z, I mean the youngsters, there has to be that one person that you hire who's a baby boomer who can actually tell you that, okay, you're going a little here and there now, too much of partying, guys, let's get back to work kind of thing. If you're a company that has primarily baby boomers or Gen X, you should have somebody, millennials, for example, you should have somebody younger to come on board to tell you what is happening new in the market.
Yeah.
Okay. So Generational integration is very important. Generational diversity is very important, according to me. And that is why I work with a lot of colleges in getting interns into organizations, management trainees into organizations where I see a lack of generational diversity. So I'm sure you'll remember these 6 points, which is easy to remember. It's just remember me, just remember Humlo. It's having a hiring strategy, understanding your requirements, managing expectations, leveraging new work models, outsource non-core, and generational diversity or generational integration. I hope that answers the question, Lupa.
Wow, that was beautiful. I think that answered like almost all the questions. That's an amazing. So when I need a HR strategy, I will remember the name Humlog, and then I can exactly count on the strategies that you explained. That's so beautiful, George. I think it was a great insight to know about this. So before we go, can I know, have you built your dream team, or are you in the process, or what is your future plan for your dream team, or what is exactly dream team for you? What's the definition of dream team as per you? Whom we can call my dream team?
So if you have a team that does not, I mean, according to me, a dream team is a team that each member knows what is expected of them, which is managing expectations at the end of the day. Each member knows that what I'm doing is adding to the bottom line of the organization or adding to. So one of the things that I can talk about is return on expectations. I know ROE is usually used in finance for return on equity, but how about return on expectations? Because you cannot look at every employee as a number. You
Correct.
cannot put an ROI on every employee, but you can always put an ROE on every employee. What is expected of this employee and what am I getting in return? And that is something that I have with my team, which is regular ROE meetings, not ROI meetings. I don't say I'm paying you so much salary so you have to give me 4 times your salary. I say this is what I expect out of you, and I also give the employees the chance to do the same thing back to me. Am I giving them what is expected, what they expect, and they told me they expect back to them? So ROE is very important for our organization, and that is what builds the dream team for us, Rupa. And I'm lucky that I've got a very beautiful set of team members. Yes, people say you're too much into diversity because, except me, my entire team is the power ladies. So, but that is I mean, not out of choice. That is the best people I got. So I did not have like I should only hire men or women or, but that's the team I got. And when I found the right people, I hired them on board. And then somebody pointed out. I mean, actually, my wife pointed out that you're working with too many ladies. What exactly is happening? I'm like, this is my dream team. So that's
So,
that's the dream
so if I
team.
put my feminism hat on, do you think females they end up as better HRs, or they can manage people better?
So I want to ask you something, Rupa. Who cooks at home usually? It is usually the women who cook at home. That is what the belief, though in my house that's not the case. But I always ask, who are the best chefs in the world? You go to any restaurant, you have men as chefs.
Yes.
Okay. So let's break stereotypes. I mean, there is no, I mean, anybody who can empathize with people, anybody who, here, I want to bring another term. I mean, we talk about IQ a lot, which is intelligence quotient. But I firmly believe in emotional quotient, EQ, which is, can you empathize with people? Can you talk to people? Can you keep your emotions aside and understand the other person's emotions? Because what I usually see in conversations is people are more interested in playing out what I will reply to this question rather than listening to the question or listening to the conversation. So, do you have that EQ to keep things aside? Anybody who has a good EQ makes an amazing HR person, Rupa, whether it's male, female, or binary. I mean, we have to talk about the entire diversity.
Absolutely, I too agree with that, and I have no doubts in absolutely accepting that I have seen both the genders doing well in different industries, no matter even if it was stereotyped before. But now in today's time, I am so proud to say that both nobody is judging the professions, and people are just doing it out of passion, whatever they feel from inside. So, George, it was such a beautiful conversation with you. And personally, as an entrepreneur, I always feel, especially when I did my journey from employee to employer, I think when it came to managing money, managing the clients, managing the people, like the most difficult part that I felt was building your team, or managing people, understanding them, retaining them. Though I used to feel, I had a notion that I'm good with people, but when actually it came to on grounds, and then different kind of challenges that came up which we didn't even expect, then definitely there were lots of ups and downs, and we learn from our experiences. But I've always seen that going to an expert always helps, because what situation is so new for me, for them it's like already they have gone through it, they know how to solve it. So it will be great, I think, to get in touch with experts like you. I would like to tell my audience that thank you for listening to us, and I'm sure you have got this insights. Today we got to know some strategies of how you can build your dream team. So remember the name Humlo. You also got to know how are you gonna retain your employees. The way George used the word ROE to RO, from ROI to ROE, the way he has converted the meetings, return of expectations. I think this is a beautiful word. This is a magic word for any entrepreneur, and it is a win-win situation for both the parties. And I think, I'm sure, in if we start doing things like this, I think things will be much more transparent, much more mutual, and people will be happy to cooperate and collaborate. That's beautiful. So I think if we will talk, there will be definitely a lot of topics. So George, what if our audience wants to get in touch with you? How can they get in touch with you? Where can they contact you? What's the best way of communication they can use to be in touch with you?
So I'm very active on LinkedIn. So if there are any audience out there on LinkedIn, please do connect with me. I love connecting with new people, getting more connections and real connections, not just connections on LinkedIn. So I'm very active on LinkedIn. Our website is very easy, humloghr.com. And if you add a George at the rate, you will get my email ID. It's very simple. So humloghr.com, George at humloghr.com. And I mean, so you can always reach out to me any of these channels. And I would like to say, Rupa, thank you very much for inviting me. Thank you to the audience for being a part of this amazing conversation. I think it's a very important topic about people because people create organization. I think there's a very good saying by Steve Jobs, which is the first 10 people in your organization uh, decide the success or failure of your organization. So hiring right is absolutely important. So thank you very much for this time. Thank you for this amazing topic and some of the most thought-provoking questions I've heard, Rupa. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, George. Thank you, audience. Bye bye. We will meet again with another topic. Feel free to write us what you would like to hear more about. And don't forget to get in touch with George for a free consultation. You have his LinkedIn ID, his website, and his email ID. Feel free to write him his queries. He will surely get back to you or write back to you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Have a great weekend, all of you. Bye bye.
Thank you.